Silver, the most undervalued metal in human history. Gold today is without a doubt more rare than silver. But what about tomorrow? On average today, for every 10 ounces of silver pulled out of the ground, only 1 ounce of gold is mined. However, the majority of silver mined is used for consumption, while the majority of gold mined is nearly all added to global inventory. Yet precious metal investors, as small of a group as they are still investing $7 in GLD for every $1 they invest in SLV. Looking at modern history, silver is destined to be more rare and certainly worth more than gold. In 1950, there were 10 billion ounces of above-ground available silver. By 1980, it shrank to 3.5 billion ounces. And in 2010, it is estimated that above-ground available silver supply is between 500 to 700 million ounces. To put this into perspective, total above-ground available gold in 1950 was 1 billion ounces. And today, it's estimated to be around 7 billion ounces. In 1980, when silver nearly reached $50 per ounce, global population was 2.5 billion people. Global GDP was $10 trillion, and China had the 11th largest economy. Today, global population is near 7 billion people. Global GDP, $60 trillion, and China is now the second largest economy. So the population since 1980 is up 176%. Global GDP is up 500%. Above ground available gold is up 600%. Meanwhile, above ground available silver has plummeted at least by 91%, and the price is still down 46% from its 1980 high of $50 per ounce. To say the opportunity in silver is enormous is an understatement. Looking at the historical silver to gold ratio of 15 to 1, silver is highly undervalued today. It now takes 50 ounces of silver to purchase 1 ounce of gold. Even when ignoring the above ground supply deviation, mined metal production should at the very least bring that number to 10 to 1. Using today's prices with gold at $1,400, silver should be worth no less than $140 per ounce. Silver is being consumed more than ever, and it is a fact that there is less above ground available silver than there is gold. Industrial demand for silver is up 18% in just the last year. The need for silver is growing by the day. Silver is being consumed and used for bandages for wound care, batteries, brazing, soldering, Cadillac converters, cell phones, computers, satellites, high-tech weaponry, lasers, digital technology, clothing, electronic circuit boards, ink, solar cells, water purification, wood treatment, antennas, RFID chips, freeway toll transponders, passports, and the list goes on. From 1990 to 2000, nearly 2 billion ounces of above-ground available silver disappeared to consumption. Yet industrial demand for silver was only 35% by the year 2000. Today, it's 54%. And looking at the new uses for silver, the silver production deficit will only widen. China, since 2003, has been growing its solar energy base by almost 100% every year. By 2014, the world will need 130 million ounces of silver just to satisfy 1 year of global solar demand. The world has consumed so much silver in the last 50 years that the last time above ground available inventory was this low was 1300 AD. The deficit of silver production has been met mostly from government stockpiles. The U.S. has dumped nearly 5 billion ounces since World War II into the silver markets. But as of 2010, according to the USGS, the government stockpile for silver are listed as none. The supply and demand deficit continues to be ignored by global investors year after year, decade after decade. Total mining production for 2009 was 710 million ounces. Total demand was 889 million ounces. That's a mining production deficit of 179 million ounces to meet demand. With each day comes a new use for silver, and the supply and demand deficit continues to eat away at the above ground available supply. FutureMoneyTrends.com is projecting that just as palladium was once worth more than platinum, silver will one day be worth more than gold. The demand for silver will continue to increase, yet mining production will never be able to keep up, depleting the above ground available silver supply possibly by the end of this decade. Silver may be the greatest investment in human history. How often doesn't any generation get the opportunity to invest in a finite resource that will soon be extinct?
Its first ever investment opportunity for silver bullion. The bars are available in 500 grams, 1 kilogram, 2 kilograms and 5 kilograms with a purity of 99.9%. Figures show that gold was 50 times more expensive than silver in 2007, but now that figure has reached over 70 times, the highest in the past 5 years. Analysts say that silver has been undervalued in recent years. They add that the metal is a wise investment for individual investors and could be a good way to cash in.
We are the first to offer silver bullion as an investment opportunity. The price for the first batch of the bullion is set very low, close to the cost of the raw material. The investment threshold is not high, and it is more suitable for the general public. Silver is much cheaper than gold.
Certainly, silver is a critical commodity needed for worldwide economic development. In fact, our experts report that worldwide demand for silver is rapidly increasing as silver plays a vital role in the expanding economies of the 21st century.
We have China, which has been economically oppressed for so long, and now they're booming. So that Chinese people, historically, relatively recently, like a few years ago, used about 1/70th the amount of silver per person than the person in the United States does. And if China begins to use 70 times more silver per person, industrial demand will about triple. And industrial demand is already consuming more silver than we're mining today.
Their emergence as a major manufacturing force with tremendous growth in industrial activity, huge infrastructure investment in China in things like railways, electric generation. All of this is very metal intensive, and with a huge also shift in the manufacturing activity for electronic products, even things like televisions, air conditioners. A great deal of this production now occurs in China, and microwave ovens, and you tend to use a lot of metals in all of these manufactured goods, and I think that really has propelled their importance in terms of the metal industry around the world.
I am very, very much of the view that Asia growth in demand is just beginning. There's 1.3 billion Chinese, there's 1 billion Indians, there's 200 million in Indonesia. I mean, it's a vast source of demand for all metals, not just silver. And it's an economy basically that is moving from an agricultural economy to an industrial economy. Their consumption of most metals is a tiny fraction of what it is in North America. Even if they went to only 1/50th or 1/40th of our consumption per capita, that still represents a huge increase in demand pretty much across the board for silver, for gold, for lead, for zinc, for nickel, and so forth.
When you consider that there are probably millions and millions and millions of people in China, they don't have refrigerators, they don't have air conditioners in their homes, they don't have a lot of things that we take for granted here in the United States. They don't have lighting, and as their standard of living rises, they want these products. It's going to make life more comfortable for them. And these are just everyday aspects of life, or aspects of everyday life that we deal with. And you look at what we've consumed here in this country, and it's not going to be any different in those countries if the standards of living continue to rise. And so, electric motors, cellular telephones, computers, Water purification in China and India is probably more of an issue there than it has ever been here. And the ability to use silver for filtration of water and purification of nearly everything that we deal with, coatings, whether it's in restaurant kitchens and things of that sort, or surgical rooms, operating rooms in hospitals, as an antimicrobial, it's a very effective product for that. And you're going to have all of that built in China if this continues, for many generations.
It's a secular event. It's a once-in-a-lifetime event of people moving from the villages and the countryside into cities, needing housing, needing all the periphery around housing, the utilities, the apartments, the plumbing, the wiring, and so forth, and all of that uses metals. And it's not by any means over. There's a large new middle class in China, but they're still very much less developed than anything like America or Canada even 100 years ago. So a long way to go. A lot of metal consumption yet to be seen, and this will drive metal prices, especially silver, because of course silver spans the gamut for a long time to come. I'm very bullish on all metals, particularly silver.